catch-ups, and that's what we're doing at the moment. Every member of parliament that we replace from the old parties, we replace with a vigorous, new-thinking member of parliament. Now, Don Chipp called them the bastards. I don't. I think they're all there to do what they can for the world, but they don't have it. They simply haven't got it. Our preferences or give an indication as to where our voter bases come from, and it's roughly 70-30 from former Labor voters or would-be Labor voters, 30 Conservative voters from the Liberal or National Party. I think I'm probably out of the latter camp. Don't tell anybody, please. I think my first vote was for the Country Party way back, until I ran into the United Tasmania group and got a much better grip on social justice, which is an absolute core to the way the Greens think. I'm not interested in who we're replacing. I'm interested in how we perform when we get into the parliament. I feel very confident about our crop of Victorian candidates.
One more question.
Senator Tony Wright from The Age.
Tony.
It seems to be the season for hung parliaments and minority governments. Should it be that the Greens hold the balance of power in Victoria after this election? You've been pretty passionate about the desalination plant. Would you make it one of your major negotiating positions, if you had balance of power, that be closed down?
Well, no, I wouldn't, because I won't be negotiating. But those people elected here in Victoria with the ability to be able to see priorities from a Victorian point of view will be doing that. What I do say is that the desalination plant is going to suck billions more out of the pockets of Victorians before it's through. And excuse me, my colleagues here, I'm trespassing where I shouldn't, but it needs an urgent review of what the alternatives are. It is such a monumental mistake of governance by the Brumby government that plant is being funded in the way it is. I flew over it the other day on my way from here to Hobart and looked down at the massive brown patch where it's being, and all the machinery that's involved with it, and looked at in my mind's eye at the billions that are going into that, all unnecessary, because the alternatives, for example, of capturing the rainfall that falls on Melbourne, weren't adequately looked at. Big fix, big mistake, and I think it does need a review. I don't want to jump, my apologies to my Greens colleagues here, but that's what I'd do.
Senator, the next question comes from someone with a tradition of asking challenging questions. Stephen.
Hey, that's very nice of you. Look, Stephen Rain, Bob.
Stephen.
I'm an independent candidate in Northern Metro. We are swapping preferences to try and knock off the Labor number 3. So thanks for that. But
did you get them?
Yeah, Greens and doing preferences with the Greens. But my question actually goes to.
I think somebody made a good decision there.
Yeah, I think so. Look, in a former life, I was the press secretary to a Liberal treasurer here when the state was close to being broke, massive debts, and we're potentially about to have a change of government. And debt in Victoria is rising at $4 billion a year. In the next 12 months, it will go past the peak of the Kerner government. A lot of people look at the Greens and like your social agenda, but to say financial management, it's not there. Does it worry you that debt is projected to rise by $4 billion a year and is projected in the forward estimates to hit $39 billion by 2014? And in a minority government, would you actually focus on that and try to stop the massive escalation of public debt in Victoria?
Yes, well, it's a very good question, and one of the reasons why I would immediately review the desalination plant. It may be that it's past the point of no return, but what a millstone. I think debt always needs to be reviewed. One of the things that you can do once you become elected into Parliament is request, and should always get, a proper briefing from people so that you open, from the Treasury, so that you open the door on what is happening with debt and debt projections. We're not averse to debt, but we like to see the books on the main in any economic cycle in balance. And we are very aware that the private sector is as good at running up debt as the public sector. So we're not a party that says public debt is anathema. If it's in the public interest, fine. But that is a matter where you'll get far greater debate if you have three major parties on the floor of the parliament rather than two, two of which hold some responsibility for the debt which has accumulated. I'm very aware, as you will be, and you're a better brain than me on this, that debt also comes with it a drain on the potential investment into public health, hospitals, schools and so on, the two-edged sword. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you an exact answer there, but because I don't know, but I believe what you say, the exact Victorian circumstances, but you put the Greens in on the House of Parliament, you've got a much better chance of opening the books and getting a good debate on not just you've got a worse debt than ours, but how the economy should be handled with all the checks and balances. But you can't turn your back on, for example, the question of whether private enterprise has properly and adequately managed public transport in this state. Was that a good move? Was that move to cut back the debt? Has that presented a dividend to government? And also this question, why is it that government should be seen, the public sector should be seen as unable to manage? We need good management. It's not second to the private sector. It's a challenge to all of us. And when you get into Parliament, you have to take that responsibility on your shoulder, which brings me back to the question of the stimulus package. That created a debt, but one which was warranted, warts and all, including the school building program, which has refurbished some 4,000 plus schools here in Victoria. With hindsight, it's easy to have, as the Liberals are wanting to do, inquiries into that and thoughts brought to it. And I wrote to the Treasurer 12 months ago saying we're in better circumstances now. We should be, in December last year, we should be taking our foot off the accelerator on the stimulus package. I don't think I've got a reply. But put the third party into the Parliament and you'll get a better economic management outcome.
I'm very conscious of the time. I think we really are looking at a politician who is one of the country's success stories. Starting in 72, the Greens, a very small party, now a member of the House of Representatives, control of the Senate from July. It really is one of those success stories that the country's seen. Senator, thank you very much. Could you please join me in thanking the Senator?
Thank you.
Senator, we do have a tradition of giving a gift to our speakers, and I should warn you that we usually give very unusual gifts. Premier Brax, many years ago, cancelled a barbecue for the police force, so we gave him some barbecue tongs and some sausages. Premier Kennett threw some sand at some journalists, so we gave him a shovel. I might say we have been very kind to you today. We have two gifts for you. The first is a new Australian water-saving device called the Joey Can. It's all wrapped, so I haven't seen it, but it collects water from the shower and then inverts into a watering can, so I'm sure that will be very, very useful to you. And the second is a cookbook, Nourishing Traditions, and apparently challenges the politically correct nutritional guidelines. So I hope you enjoy both of them. And just finally, our next lunch is on Friday, the 19th of November, with the Premier, John Brumby. Thanks very much.